A thick blanket of snow muffled all sound, cloaking the forest in an uncanny silence. Theo stood amidst the towering trees, every nerve alert, his eyes scanning for any trace of movement. His vigilance was rewarded when he spotted a figure stumbling toward him. "Ray," he called, his voice tinged with both surprise and concern. Ragnar, the warrior celebrated for her indomitable strength, appeared almost unrecognizable. Her shoulders drooped under an invisible weight, and her steps faltered as though her body could barely support her. Her face, typically a portrait of determination, was ashen and lined with exhaustion. As she approached, Theo noticed a subtle quiver in her hands and a sheen of sweat glistening on her brow despite the biting chill. "Ray, what happened to you?" Theo hurried to her side, his gaze quickly scanning for injuries. "Were you attacked by beasts?" Ray didn't reply immediately, her breathing shallow and ragged, her trembling hand clutching the hilt of her sword with desperation. Theo's sharp eyes caught the dark stain spreading across her side, a fresh wound, raw and jagged. A cold knot formed in his stomach. "This wasn't the work of a monster," he muttered, his tone heavy with apprehension. "Ray, did someone ambush you?" Ray attempted to steady herself, but her knees buckled. Theo moved swiftly, his strong arms catching her before she collapsed completely. "You need to rest," he urged, his voice firm yet filled with compassion. "Tell me everything later." Ray shook her head weakly, her voice strained and barely audible. "Go west, now," she rasped, her urgency palpable, even as her body betrayed her exhaustion. As Theo eased her to the ground, her grip on her sword slackened, and the blade slipped from her grasp. Reacting instinctively, Theo caught the weapon. The instant his hand closed around the hilt, a brilliant flash of light engulfed him. System notification, hatchling synchronization initiated. Accessing memories within the sword. Reading the thoughts of its owner, Ragnar. Theo's vision blurred and twisted, pulling him into a vivid recollection. The scene around him transformed, and he found himself in a secluded part of the forest. Concealed within the shadows of towering trees, he saw Ragnar crouched behind a colossal trunk, her piercing gaze fixed on a group gathered a short distance away. In the center of the clearing stood Axian, his imposing presence dominating the space. Around him, Theo's comrades were bound and bloodied, their faces swollen and battered from relentless abuse. Axian's subordinates loomed over them like predators, their weapons gleaming menacingly in the pale light. "No trace of Theo yet," one of Axian's men reported gruffly. "But we've left enough tracks to lure him here." Another henchman snickered darkly. "We even let monsters roam the area. If Theo's alive, he'll come." Axian's icy, calculating eyes remained fixed on the hostages. His expression was unreadable, cold as stone, as though he was already several steps ahead in this cruel game. After a prolonged silence, Axian finally spoke, his voice cold and deliberate. "Should I execute them? Why bring so many? 2 or 3 would have sufficed." One of his subordinates shrugged nonchalantly, raising his blade. "Then why not dispose of a few? It'll make the message clear." The blade shimmered menacingly in the dim light as it descended swiftly, promising death. Just as it was about to strike, a resolute voice cut through the tension. "Stop this." Ray emerged from the shadows, her sword unsheathed, her stance defiant. Axian turned toward her, his brow furrowing with a mix of irritation and surprise. "Ragnar, what brings you here? This doesn't concern you." "They're Theo's companions," Ray said, her tone firm as steel and her fingers tightening around the hilt of her weapon. "Release them." A smirk played on Axian's lips, his tone dripping with mockery. "So, you've sided with Theo too, have you?" Ray offered no verbal response. Instead, she charged, her blade flashing as it carved through the air. Axian met her head-on, his sword drawn in a fluid, practiced motion. Sparks erupted as their weapons clashed, the metallic screech echoing through the clearing. Ray attacked with unwavering determination, her strikes relentless, but Axian's skill and sheer power were formidable. With a crushing blow, he sent her sprawling to the ground. She attempted to rise, her body trembling with exertion, but her strength was fading rapidly. The memory dissolved like mist, and Theo found himself back in the present. Ray leaned heavily against him, her breath shallow and labored. Theo's mind reeled as he processed the vivid memory. "Ray," he began, his voice taut and brimming with tension, "why did Axian take my comrades? What's his objective?" Ray hesitated, guilt shadowing her features. "He was desperate to find you," she admitted softly. When you didn't appear, he seized your friends to force you out of hiding. Theo's fists clenched tightly, his nails biting into his palms as anger, guilt, and determination churned within him like a storm. "Where are they?" he demanded, his voice sharp and unyielding. "Where is Axian?" "You can't go," Ray whispered, her voice fragile and strained. "The Central Intelligence Bureau's supervisors are backing him. Not even you can handle them all." Theo's jaw tightened, his resolve like iron. "I don't care. Every moment we stand here, they're in danger. This isn't just a trial anymore," Ray shouted, her voice breaking under the weight of her emotions. "It's a carefully laid trap to eliminate you. We need to regroup, rally support, and strategize. There's no time," Theo barked, urgency blazing in his voice. "I won't stand by and let them perish." Ray's frustration boiled over, her voice trembling as she countered, "Even if it means sacrifices, I can't bear to lose anyone else." Theo's voice exploded, reverberating through the hushed forest. "I've already lost more than I can bear. Not again." Meanwhile, in a secluded grove, Axian stood surrounded by Theo's captured allies. The once pristine snow beneath them was tainted with streaks of crimson, evidence of a fierce and ruthless struggle. A subordinate approached cautiously, bowing slightly before speaking. "Sir, Theo has been sighted. He's at the northern cliffs, currently in communication with Ragnar." A wicked smirk spread across Axian's lips. "Finally, Theo Ragnar. I'll make you understand the price of defying me." A guttural, raspy voice resonated in his ear, audible only to him. "Remember, young Master Axian, there's no need to confront him head-on. Extract the information about the relics, we'll handle Theo ourselves." Axian's expression grew darker, and he inclined his head slightly. "Understood, but I intend to make him suffer first." The voice continued coldly, "Use the summoning orb to divert the supervisor's attention." Meanwhile, with Theo, Ray made a final, desperate plea to deter him. "Theo, please, don't do this. You're walking straight into their ambush." Theo's resolve didn't falter for a moment. "Thank you for warning me, Ray," he replied, his tone unwavering, "but I refuse to stand by while my comrades are in peril." As Ray was not ready to answer Theo, he pleaded her to tell their location, as memories of the time spent with his subordinates flashed through his mind. Hero's palace fell in his previous life and he couldn't do anything but watch as he was weak. With resolve and power this time he tells her that she also interfered, so Theo cannot just stand by and watch his subordinates die in front of his eyes. The air around Theo grew dense, charged with an unmistakable energy. A faint, dragon-like aura flickered behind him, embodying the sheer force of his determination. Ray's eyes widened, her breath catching as she felt the weight of his presence bear down on her. "Where is Axian?" Theo demanded, his voice steady yet authoritative, his gaze unrelenting. Elsewhere, deep within another part of the forest, three figures stumbled across a grim and disconcerting scene. Supplies lay scattered across the snow, and faint streaks of blood trailed away from the area. One of them, Remington, ranked second in the competition, knelt to inspect a blood-stained box. His expression grew somber as he spoke. "These provisions, they belong to Theo's team." Behind him loomed Hulkus, a towering figure ranked fifth, and Eric's, who held the fourth rank. Both scanned the area, their faces etched with unease. "This doesn't look promising," Remington remarked grimly. He turned to his companions, his voice resolute. "We need to find them before it's too late. I'll need both of you to back me up." This concludes the video. Make sure to like and subscribe for another part.